Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Once again and only again, for E3 is now officially over.
The final video blog of E3 2012.
Excellent. And we're here to tell you what, probably the best of the best, what we encountered at E3 this week.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, of course, the swag. Bags, pigs, t-shirts, Spyros.
Spyro action figures. Well, Spyro's the Skylanders things, whatever they are.
He's silver, yo. He's blinged out to the max.
Only 2,000 in existence, allegedly.
Yes.
Somebody go on eBay and verify that.
Exactly. If you see 2,000 on eBay, that means there are 2,000 in existence. If you see less than 2,000 on eBay, then there's less than 2,000 in existence. Anyways.
Well, that's not actually the only swag.
That's right.
There's also this little set of pins.
Let me see those real quick.
Yes, you can see them.
It now. 3D! Whoa!
Nintendo was giving these away after each of the Nintendo Land demos that you tried. So I think that was a really cool way to incentivize going to that section of their booth.
Mm-hmm. That and playing the game, I guess.
But most of the things.
Yeah, it's all about the pins. In all seriousness, no. E3, yeah, it's over, and it's been an experience.
Had its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. Had its hoes and hums. For the most part, it's interesting.
Yes.
Learning experience.
Yes, mostly that.
Mm-hmm. But hey, at least we got to see a lot of very cool and interesting things, such as Solid Snake dancing in Just Dance 4.
Did you record a video of that?
No, I didn't get that. No,
you got the zombies though,
yes,
dancing.
we have the Plants vs. Some guys dressed like the Plants vs. Zombies dancing quite enthusiastically too.
Yeah, I mean they were way too good at that.
Yep.
Especially considering how hard it must be to see that event. You'll see when we upload it.
Yeah, we'll post it sooner or later. But games-wise, of course, I think most people agree that this was a surprisingly anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really all that much that we didn't already know about going into it.
Yep, and of course that's not just the case for Nintendo, it was the case for Microsoft and Sony.
But it was mostly the case for Nintendo.
Yeah,
It's kind of a little, actually, alarming to me to see how few Wii U titles there were. Or just Nintendo titles in general from like a lot of the major third parties. Like Konami only had that, Castlevania Mirrors of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
EA had like nothing besides their sports games, which come out to everything.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, even then, we didn't even know Madden was coming out for Wii U until like a couple hours ago. They were very on the down low about it. I mean, EA has Mass Effect 3 coming out for it, and I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, but that means I've already played Mass Effect 3, so we'll see if they can make that
Capcom didn't have anything.
No, Capcom was completely Nintendo free.
Yeah.
This year, nothing. I guess they have like their own little conference coming up. I think next month where they plan on showing off some things, including like the Lost Planet for 3DS.
Or hopefully Monster Hunter 2.
I mean,
Monster Hunter also. That's it.
Yeah, Monster Hunter 4. I think they're on now. Also, Monster Hunter 3, 3G, and then Monster Hunter 4.
Yes.
But whatever. As for what we actually got our hands on, what would we say? What would you say was your best of show?
I'd still say it was Scribblenauts. I mean, it's kind of hard to top just the sheer ridiculous fun of that game. What about you?
I would probably still say Zombie U. So in other words, this is what we probably said in our last video, and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Because there were no last-minute announcements, no great surprises.
Oh, there were last-minute announcements.
Well, true. I mean, like last day.
But yeah,
I mean,
like Fire Emblem 3DS coming out over here.
Yep. Which they had. Hey, we're having a 3DS conference, but we're not going to say that there.
Nintendo has a very. We were talking about this earlier about Nintendo's habit of holding press conferences where they would be the perfect time to announce things like that, but for some reason they don't. And right afterwards, they announce it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did that twice this week with Game and Wario and that Platinum Games game.
Project P100.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I'm never gonna remember that title.
It's crazy. Once you actually play it, you'll never be able to forget it.
I'm sure. I mean, this art style kind of reminds me of The Incredibles.
It's thoroughly nuts. It's weird. I'll probably have a preview of that up sooner or later. But anyways, it's so yeah, just kind of a surprisingly anticlimactic E3, considering sort of everything that's going on with a new console from Nintendo, and obviously sooner or later Sony or Microsoft doing the same. There wasn't too much.
It really felt like nobody was even really acknowledging the Wii U's presence. Other game companies, I mean, considering like we didn't see the Wii U version of Darksiders.
True. Well, I mean, that's a little different because THQ
didn't have a booth, but we also didn't see the Wii U version of Aliens: Colonial Marines. Sega had a huge booth, so what was their excuse?
I don't know. They just said it wasn't ready to be shown off yet. Well, so
and apparently Konami's not bringing Lords of Shadow 2 to Wii U, even though they are bringing Mirrors of Fate to 3DS.
As far as we know, yes.
I don't expect them to change.
No. Probably not.
I feel like no matter what Nintendo does, they're not going to really be supported by third parties. Because it feels like they're really, what's it called? I mean, there's always going to be exceptions like WayForward, who we spoke to earlier today. But it just feels like they don't really give them a chance. Like, we didn't hear about Black Ops 2 coming to Wii U.
No. I mean, honestly, for a game like that, I'm pretty sure Activision looked at it and thought to themselves, it's not going to sell any more copies if it went on Wii U. The people who would probably buy it are the people who would buy it anyway on another system.
How much more effort would it be to port that over to Wii U as opposed to, are they releasing a Wii version of it? Or?
Hell if I know. They generally don't even announce that right there.
It's
they'll eventually just go, oh yeah, there's also a Wii version. I mean, it would surprise me more to see a Wii U port than it would to see a Wii port. But that's just because it's just the way Activision works. I don't know. When it comes to the biggest franchise in gaming nowadays. I mean, personally, I think once we get closer to launch, and as time goes by, we're going to see more stuff get announced, especially in the way of like games that are coming to every console. Also, I saw an article a little bit earlier saying that Ghost Recon is still planned. At least Ghost Recon Online,
about that.
is still being planned for Wii U. So that's at least one online multiplayer shooter that's going to be available sooner or later. But Ubisoft really, they're offering a lot of things.
Is Zombie U online?
I don't know yet. The multiplayer mode I played, as far as I could tell, was just
local.
Yeah, it was just local. There's definitely potential there for online play. I think it would make a great co-op game and competitive as well. But we'll see. Just surprisingly little information this week.
Yes. And actually, as underwhelming as it seems, when you really stop and think about it, Wii U actually has a pretty solid launch window.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there weren't any groundbreaking revelations or anything, but I can already think of 3 games that I'm definitely going to buy when the system comes out, which is New Super Mario Bros. U, Pikmin 3, Scribblenauts. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to Zombie U. There's the Ninja Gaiden 3, which is apparently like the version that should have come out first.
Exactly, and
Darksiders 2 for people who want a nice solid action adventure game.
Exactly. I mean, that game looks great. Assassin's Creed 3
yes,
is. I don't think they really had it playable for Wii U. They had it on the floor, but it was it was an Ubisoft employee playing it. Okay. So I don't think they're actually letting the average person there get their hands on it. Maybe somewhere in the back room, some members of the press could.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Assassin's Creed series is hugely successful. It looks great. It plays great. They always have. So I have no reason to doubt that this one's going to, somehow buck that trend.
Yeah.
And this is by far the biggest update the series has seen pretty much since 2, which was 3 years ago at this point. So those are great games right there. Like I said, Zombie U looks great. Ninja Gaiden, as I mentioned, looks great. So there actually is a lot of good games, even if some of them, like Mass Effect 3, which actually, even though they didn't really show it or talk about it too much, from some comments, EA has said it may actually be a launch title. Because EA, of course, is saying it's going to be the best launch title. Though I think their opinion might be a little biased.
They haven't played Scribblenauts.
But, I mean, we know that's a great title that, if you're a Nintendo dedicated gamer, you have not had the opportunity to play.
That's the thing that I like most about that. I mean, it's kind of weird that they're only releasing the 3rd game in the trilogy for the system, but we're finally getting a BioWare game on a Nintendo system.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course, with that, there's a bunch of licensing things. The first game is actually owned by Microsoft, so there's no way in hell that's ever coming out. And when they released the PS3 version of 2, they had like this interactive comic where you can make all the decisions from the first game within it. So maybe they'll do something like that. Otherwise, of course, there's also Batman Arkham City coming out, and that won a ton of Game of the Year awards last year. So I have a feeling that's pretty good, and it does make great use of the Wii U specific features. So all things considered, there was a lot coming for it. It's just there really wasn't anything too surprising about it.
Yep.
So I guess...
Well, the biggest surprise was Nintendo Land, which I did get to try all 5 of the attractions that were on the show floor. I'll write a preview of that, but I'm kind of mixed about it. Like they showed off Luigi's Haunted Mansion or whatever it's called very heavily during the press conference, but I actually think that was the worst of the games there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that one I didn't really have all that much fun playing because it feels like if you're not using the Wii Pad, you're pretty much gimped because you run really slowly and the ghost can sneak up on you very easily. So we were alternated ghosts between our little group of players, and the ghost always won. So that's not all that much fun, but
I can still balance it.
yeah. But on the flip side of that, there was that Animal Crossing Sweet Day, which is a hell of a lot of fun. It's actually kind of very similar to Luigi's Mansion in premise, where one person is pretty much the antagonist and they control their character using the gamepad, and they have their own little view of the place. Everybody else is running around trying to avoid them, but I don't know, this one seemed a lot more fair, probably because there's a lot more strategy involved, where if you're playing with the Wii Remote, your objective is to run around to the trees and collect the candy that falls off of them, but each time you collect candy, your head gets bigger because that's where you store them, and you run a lot more slowly, so it's easier to catch you when you're one of the guards. But to avoid that, you can also drop candy, so you can run lighten your load. You'll run away faster, and then one of the other people can pick up the things you dropped. So there's that. And also, if you have the gamepad, you control 2 characters at the same time, so you can try to lure one person into the corner and then use your other character to knock them out. So that's a lot of fun. I'll write up a full preview of that, and you'll find out my thoughts really soon.
Mm-hmm. But here's a big question. Now, Nintendo said that they intend that to be like Wii Sports. Now, once you pick it up, you play with it, you instantly understand really what's going on with the system. Is that the case?
I don't think so.
Okay. Personally, I think playing the multiplayer in Zombie really did that for me.
Yeah.
And a little bit so with Rayman as well, but mostly Zombie. It's just really, really good what they're doing with that.
I think Nintendo Land's going to be a tough sell unless it's either pre-installed on the console or packed in, yeah.
Or maybe release all the mini games cheap on the eShop.
Yeah.
Or something. That'd be cool.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not. But anyways, that's it for now. That's it for E3.
Yeah.
So be sure to stick to the site. We'll probably have some other gameplay videos, random stuff we saw on the floor up there eventually sooner or later.
We'll still have a few previews next week too.
Mm-hmm. So there's still some stuff coming.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, video-wise, this is it from
the end of the road.
It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Adios.
See you next year. Maybe.